co-founder and CEO of Endo45, an app created right here in Aotearoa to help those with endometriosis take back control of their health and well-being. Juliet's journey is one of resilience and innovation, from navigating her own diagnosis to finding remission to turning that lived experience into a tool of empowering for others around the world. Juliet, thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have you here talk with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so Juliet, can you take us back to when your symptoms first began, what you experienced, and what it was like navigating the health system?
Yeah, so I guess my journey is a little bit different in the sense that I spent the large part of my 20s not knowing I had endo because the pill I had been prescribed as a young girl was actually masking the symptoms. And so when I decided to come off it, close to my 30th birthday at about 29, I was met with like a freight train of endometriosis symptoms and an onslaught of just endo belly, burnout, like chronic fatigue, which led to burnout, and a pain that then became like constant daily, not just around my periods, and then very chronic and very painful quickly. And my life sort of spiraled really quickly. I'd just taken a big career opportunity. And so I was trying to put in like 150% at work. And as a result, my relationship broke down. I sort of went really inwards and really insular, and like all I could do was just manage to show up to work every day and try and give it my best. And I guess in those early days and weeks and months, yeah, the resounding answer from primary care was try a different pill, try go back on the Marina, see if that happens. And I guess I had this innate intuition that I needed to understand what was going on first, because it was because of coming off the pill that I had, quite obviously correlated, had unleashed what I then went on to find out was stage 4 endometriosis. But no one mentioned endo. In fact, many people, including gynos, just said, oh, it's your polycystic ovaries. And I've had polycystic ovaries my whole life, but never really suffered with syndrome. So I was like, that's a bit odd. Why all of a sudden? Why once I came off the pill? And also some of the symptoms I'm having, Google's not telling me that correlates to PCOS, right? So it really got to the point where, again, this is something that I think is a position of privilege I have, and why I'm out there doing this work now, which is I had private healthcare insurance. I was like quite a mature adult at this point, taking full control of my life and my health. I had in the past around some gut health issues. And so I basically just strong armed my GP into a referral to what I said was, I want to see the top PCOS specialist in New Zealand. I said, if this is truly PCOS, I want to hear it from her that this is what I'm going through. And I guess it wasn't until that happened that I started getting answers. And, I show up to her office in Auckland. I travel for that. And I'm like, with my spreadsheet of data and all these tests I've been having on the side, because that's the kind of engineer I am. And I'm like ready to kind of like combat with her that this can't just be PCOS. And after about 2 minutes, she looks at me and she goes, oh, honey, I know what you have. And I was like, but how? You haven't looked at my data. You haven't looked at my spreadsheets. And she's just like, oh, honey, you have endometriosis. And I was like, what's that? Fortunately, at that point, she was part of the Fertility Associates Society and building. She's like, I'm going to walk you out to reception. We're going to book you with an endo surgeon. And from there, I got my surgery, my stage 4 diagnosis, and a successful excision of the disease. And again, a position of privilege I feel I was in, because I didn't know at that time that having one surgery at the right time was kind of a thing to aim for, and that we want to be thinking about our fertility and what our plans are around that surgery timing, and who does your surgery and how they're doing it. I didn't know any of that. And I was very lucky to get a very good surgeon and a successful surgery. So again, it's a thing that I now that I'm empowered with this knowledge and this journey, like want to go on and help people navigate it in a similar way. Yeah.
That's amazing, and you're right. It does come down to the luck of the draw, the surgeon that you get, the doctor that you get, and even to that doctors and surgeons their own opinion, unfortunately, on what they want to do. And it shouldn't be a case where people have to have private insurance to actually get help. And there's I've been doing a lot of reading lately on contraception, because I was put on contraception at a young age for endo, and then when I came off it, like you, my endo spiraled straight to stage 4, really bad. And what they don't tell you is that yes, this contraceptive might put like a band-aid on something, but your endo is still growing, it's still getting worse. So as soon as you come off it, you could have gone from stage 1 to stage 4, and then it's just more diabolical than it ever was, and you don't understand. And so the doctor gives you another contraceptive and another contraceptive, and then when you want to maybe have a child, they don't talk about how that contraceptive masked all the endo and all those other things and could create problems with your fertility. So there's just so much unknown out there, and the fact that that you have to do all your own research, that you had to research and things like that, and it's just it baffles me. But it's good that you have had such a great outcome. And you're right, that one surgery and that one surgeon does make a huge difference. And so that's great that you made your doctor put you through that referral and said to them, if this is POS, then I want you to prove it to me. I hope you went back to them and be like, I told you so.
It's a real shame that that's the case, because I was told by some pretty astute gynos as well to just take the pill and go home and stop worrying about it, like verbatim. And so if I wasn't the kind of person I am, and I wasn't so pig-headed and sort of like determined to get a root cause diagnosis, I would have followed their advice, and who knows where we would be now. I was very fortunate that, yes, it was stage 4, but it was all able to be removed successfully. And for a lot of people, that's not the case at stage 4. And I might have been months or even only a few years away from that being the case. So very lucky.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I'm great that you were able to have that outcome. So you've spoken about the moment. So I've read up like on your website and the information about how you created this app and things like that. And on your website, you've spoken about the moment in your boss's office that changed everything. How did that lead to creating Endo45?
So I guess, as I mentioned earlier, my life was spiraling pretty quickly. And within sort of a year, it got to the point where I was considering walking away from my career. And it was that meeting that I was going to have that discussion with my boss, which obviously started with me in just tears because I couldn't hold it back, where instead of him sort of doing the usual that you would expect, which is like, okay, if you really can't hack it, keep in mind, male-dominated industry, I'm a oil and gas engineer, they would have never heard of endo like myself, that instead of being like, okay, that's fine, like either leave or we'll find you a different role or we'll demote you, he leaned in and he was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you can't, what are you going to do? If you leave here, what are you going to do? Just keep getting worse. You can't do the same thing every day and expect a different result. You need to find out what's going on and we need to enact change. And so I guess it was at that moment that my engineering mindset kicked in, and like I was able to overcome the overwhelmingness of the symptoms of the disease for a minute to be like, actually, like, I solve problems for a living. I solve problems innately. It's what I'm good at. And the human body is just another series of symptoms and series of systems, sorry. And I optimize systems for a living. So why don't I just figure out what's broken in my systems and reverse engineer what's happening with me? And he said, and I guess why it was so pivotal was actually his behavior in that moment. And he was like, and once you figure out what's going on, I'll help you overcome it. Like, whatever it takes, we'll do it together and we'll figure out how to get you some work-life balance and get you the time and space that you need to right yourself. Because I need you in this role. Like, you're an amazing leader and like no one else can do it. So what is it going to take? And I guess that was monumental for me and for so many others who finally get that person that wants to lean in, wants to support them and wants to encourage them, be their biggest fan on their journey to getting better and feeling better, or at least getting answers. And so that's when everything kicked into gear. That's when I started taking every test under the sun. I started going to every allied health practitioner I could find. I started seeking out the answers, and that's when I strong-armed my GP. And as a result of that, and what happened after that, and him witnessing that turnaround for me. Years later, we decided to co-found Endo45 and birth the app together, because he understood at that point what it means to have knowledge, tools, and self-empowerment and self-care when it comes to this disease, and how game-changing that can be for people and their quality of life.
100%. And what an awesome boss to do that, like to
Mm.
have that support, especially in a male dominated industry and things like that, like to have that support, which is awesome, which is what we want to hear. Quite often I speak to people that are in, high end jobs, and they live in fear of revealing their illness because they won't progress in that work. And I know when I used to work in the government, when I was starting to get really sick, um, it led to me not being able to do that job anymore because it just wasn't feasible. So that's great that you had that support.
Very rare, and again, you gotta take, I think, these wins and try and use them as fuel and empowerment to better everyone else's lives, because not everyone gets, most people are getting the short straw, right, like you said. Yeah.
100%. 100%. So what makes Endo45 different from other wellness and tracking apps for people with endometriosis?
Yeah, so I guess I like to boil it down to one simple thing, and that is that we're not just here to track and show you what your triggers are, or show you when you're flaring and for you to reflect on that data. We're actually here to take you on a lifestyle change journey to get you back to a better version of your best self, and to get what we call EndoFit, which is why you have an EndoFit score in the app. And she's just our first version of the app. Get ready for another 2.0 next year, where it will be even more intimate and like a warm hug, where we can actually like encourage you to set goals, to build a habit, like a new habit, an endo, what we call an endo fighting healthy habit, and to really master that habit until the point where not only is it just a part of your everyday life, but you're actually then from your score seeing how over time you are starting to feel better than you did when you started. And despite that 3-day flare that you had like a week ago, actually the score and and our trending shows you that before that you were actually doing better. You were doing good. So like overall, you were doing good, and not to give up, and to be that coach, be that endo coach in your back pocket that's cheering you on every day, and a place to really build habits, not just track.
That's awesome. And I love that you say EndoFit. One of the things that always throws me is people are like that, like, we can cure you. Like, that can't happen. And I understand EndoFit. Like, before things got worse for me, like, that was for me. I was a yoga teacher. I did a lot of lifestyle changes in my diet, exercise, and things like that. And my endo was probably the best ever it's been managed throughout my life. And I think a lot of people don't understand that even as you age, month to month, year to year, your body changes so much that what you are doing might not work. Might change as your body changes. So having something that sort of supports you in that area. And I've spoken to people that use the app, because we always ask for feedback from people out there. So it's not just us saying, yeah, we think this is great, and we've had so much positive feedback on the app as well, which is awesome.
Right.
One thing that I really struggle with apps and things like that myself, because probably my ADHD or something, I get really hyper focused on things and my goals, and like what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, and what I need to track and what I don't need to track, and things like that. What would you say to someone that, like me, that sort of like thinks like an app might be a bit overwhelming?
Yeah, so I think what's really nice about when you put a first version of a product out into the world, but what was also very intentional for me, is that I needed, like, our slogan is the simplest way to build a better life with endometriosis. And so what I was intent on doing, which we did do, is boiled it down to the simplest 7 healthy habits that you can choose from, that give you the biggest bang for buck, and that we can't make them any more applicable to anyone in the population. Like, it should be, there should be at least 1 or 2 in there that everyone can do, and everyone should feel like they can do without being overwhelmed about it. And also, we're not in your face every day, so like you can go in when you feel and you need, and you can just track for the week, or track for the day, or track for the last 2 weeks if you haven't for the last 2 weeks, and sort of like set and forget. If that is the way your brain works, some people like to go in every day and they like to see how their score is changing. So I'd say that we've tried to make it super simple, super not overwhelming, and that the design as we go forward will continue to do that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. So living with endo, you've reached what you describe as endo remission. What does that look like for you now, and how do you maintain that?
Yeah, so I think like holistically, I have lived largely pain and symptom free for about 8 years now. Um, my fertility journey was fairly painless, which was just amazing and such a reward after doing the mahi to kind of reset all these systems in my body, and try and, claw back quality of life. And for me, like you say, things change year on year. Things change post pregnancy, post birth, and as you approach perimenopause, which is me too. And then I just think what that looks like really, and what I want it to be as a philosophy, is that every day when we wake up, the first thought isn't, oh gosh, my endo, or like, what's going to happen today? How is endo in control today? How is it going to control the outcome of my life today? What I want is that when I wake up, it's not at the forefront of my mind. And I can have confidence that it probably won't stand in my way. And I think that's the key. And that's really what my life has looked like. I've also got adenomyosis, which has kind of like developed over the subsequent years. And I think at the moment, that's probably my biggest pain point. And that kind of comes and goes. And it's normally when I'm more stressed, sleeping less, or in and around kind of like more hormonal times, like pre-period. So, but at the same time, I have a lot of tools in my tool basket now. I have a lot of knowledge and research on board, and I kind of just make sure I'm really as rigid as I can be with those tools. So sometimes that looks like I just have to make sure I take these supplements every day, and that's all. Sometimes that's a full-blown like gut detox, 3 months, we're going all in, because I have the space and time and capacity. But being a solo mum of a 3-year-old, it's looked more like, let's just do some gentle movement and get my supplements in and prioritize my sleep, which really comes back to what we put in the app, which is like, how do we lay the simplest foundations for health, no matter where you are in your journey, and like almost no matter what other like comorbidities or symptoms or issues you're dealing with as well. All of these things will have bang for buck because they are foundational to nourishing what I call like the Endo 4 factor, which are the four systems of your body that are either helping you fight the disease or they're fueling it. Mm-hmm. And they all love sleep. Like they all love gentle movement. They all love, getting off alcohol and stimulants. And yeah, so I think that's sometimes all it comes down to is those like basic things and making sure I'm doing them day to day. And the fortunate or unfortunate thing about something like endo and adenomyosis is that the pain reminds you, right? So like if you have the pain, you're instantly reminded to do the things you said you wanted to do, to open the app, to log the thing, to look and set for another goal. And I think that's a small little blessing of it is that you can't forget almost to just keep going.
That's awesome. Thank you. And yeah, you're right. Like there is always those little reminders, but it's good that helps you to remember to like, okay, I need to put this into the app and what I need to do now. And as a single mum myself, I know how hard it is sometimes to be a parent when you're in pain, and how strong you have to be to sort of like hide that. So like you're not worrying, like I don't want to worry my son, sort of thing. So yeah, it can be hard. What message would you share with others who feel stuck or unheard in their endometriosis journey?
That don't ever dismiss the need to have someone that can fully see and hold you. And that if that is not people you are going to at the moment, in particular, like your medical care team or your allied practitioner team or anyone in that sense, go smaller. Like, who is that best friend? Who is that auntie who looked after you when you were a child? Who is that partner? Like, who is that can, even at that level, just fully empathize with you, and then fully just be that person that you know you can text or call or chat to anytime and they're gonna get it, and like look to build that relationship up and have a person. Because when we're constantly in search of it outwards from like a system that ultimately in a lot of cases may not ever hear you really, it's really important to not give up and not to isolate and not to go so inwards that you're then completely alone.
100%, and great advice. I myself, often when I teach workshops and things like that, I talk about like how I have this black hole that I call like a depression, like it's my black hole, and that sometimes when my pain is at its worst or something's happening, I can see myself start slipping into that black hole. And what I've learnt over the years, through work and advocating and even my yoga studies and things like that, is tools to make sure that I don't continue to fully fall into that hole of blackness. And so having someone that you can reach out and just be like, I'm struggling, I just need someone to talk to and things like that, is a great thing to be aware of, because go small is good. Don't overwhelm yourself with everything right now. Just focus on one thing and then go from there. So that's great feedback. I had a question here, sorry. Okay, so what role did gut health and hormonal balance play in your healing journey?
Massive one. I think a resilient gut and a healed gut is at the core of healing a chronic inflammatory disease, of which endo is. And it wasn't until I went all in on resetting my gut health that I got the biggest marked change in my symptoms, and obviously got rid of the endo belly, and really started to feel like I was in a place where I had reclaimed my body. Some of the other things definitely dialed down the pain, definitely dialed down the fatigue, increased my ability to show up every day. But yeah, it wasn't until I did that. And I think what's essential to remember is that hormone balance, in the sense of like being able to detoxify and support those endocrine systems the best, all begins and starts with the gut. And if it's not right in the gut, it won't be right anywhere else. And that the gut is then inextricably linked to your immune system, your nervous system, which are the other big systems that play. So the gut has like the biggest role to play in a healing journey, or in a reclaiming of some quality of life. And I almost say, like, if you can do that first and do it really well and do it really right, it will serve you really well to then work on the other things. So it was key. And I think for me, I did suffer with a type of estrogen dominance, in the sense that my estrogen metabolites weren't in the right proportion, which basically just means when you break down estrogen, you're getting more nasty estrogen than nice estrogen. And so some of that is like how that happens, and your estrobiome, which lives in your gut as a part of your microbiome, is like essential to nurture as well. So yeah, it was really key for me.
And that's such important information, because I don't think a lot of people understand how much the gut plays in your everyday health and how important it is for that gut health. You mentioned earlier about a new upgrade coming to Endo45 in the new year. So talk us through a little bit more about what's next for Endo45, and how can the community get involved or support your mahi?
Yeah, cool. So not only do we want to make it so that there is an option to track a lot more symptoms, of which I'm now learning there may be over 50, which is just wild, right? And kind of a more slick period tracker, which the team, the crew have, well, the community have been asking for. But we'll be leveling up that habit tracker and that kind of habit coach, with the intention in time, maybe not this version, but hopefully the next, to really become like that endo coach in your back pocket that really knows you, can get deeper and more personal, and can change as your journey changes and ebbs and flows, and your goals change and ebb and flow. So I think that's the key. And how can people help us? Extremely timely. Next week, so the beginning of November, we're going to be starting a crowdfund to try and get, we want to reach a goal of hopefully 30,000, if we can 50,000, to do exactly that. Not only to put out like the cool new features, but actually to try and join forces with a university and validate the effectiveness of this type of lifestyle change being a real game changer for endometriosis, and to prove, once and for all that it really does help. So like that money will go towards that, and ultimately helping us to reach a lot more people. We've had something like 20,000 downloads globally, but we have a big goal, which is like, let's reach at least 1 million people worldwide. And we want to see like 100,000 downloads next year. But to do that, like we need a crowd, and yeah, we need a bit of funding to keep going.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good luck with that. I hope you get the funding because it sounds like it's going to be some really great add-ons to there. Juliet, thank you so much for sharing your story and the amazing work you're doing through Endo45. Your journey really shows what's possible when lived experience meets innovation and heart. If you'd like to learn more about Endo45 or try the app for yourself, you can check out their website at endo45.com or follow them on social media. And to our community, thank you for watching. If this kōrero resonates with you, please like, share and subscribe to help us keep spreading awareness and support through Let's Talk Endometriosis Aotearoa. Ngā mihi nui, and we'll see you in our next episode.